Welcome to Red and Black TV. I'm your host, Stars, co-host Banana, panel heads, Boz, and Azza. Roots, round 2. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Welcome to RBTV style.
Oh, I got to fix this headache.
Talking about chaos.
Timing than to pull this bastard out. Because this has gave me a heart attack with this stuff. Roots. Yeah, mate. Welcome to the show again. Yeah. Part 2. No storm now. And lo and behold, the rain's gone. It's gone. Hurricane Katrina fucking picked up outside.
No, but you found a solution.
We found a solution.
We did.
You made it work. You had a plan B, which is always important from a coach's point of view as well.
It's funny because Roots, Banana was stressing, and then Roots turned around and said, "Banana, in the first minute of a game, if you concede, how are you going to react?" And Banana goes, "I'm fucking, I don't know."
You know, always bring it back to coaching, I guess, and it was good. Again, thanks for hosting me and allowing me to come into your house. I didn't recognise the first time, but I will say that banner behind me, right?
I've seen it before somewhere. Huh?
Well, I just said death zone, no prisoners. I'm just hoping that's not a sign of things to come. But let's see how it goes.
Where were we before? Where were we? What was your name before we got cut off Ridley by the weather, by God himself?
Yeah, I spoke about that, and I think the next question was about
Pre-season, Roots.
pre-season.
How's that going?
Yeah, it's going good. I think you can see a change in style of play, particularly after the Adelaide game. It went a little bit pear-shaped in the Brisbane game, I must say. But again, I think the biggest learning for us was the complacency. And speaking to the playing squad, you know, that the belief was that we weren't just going to win it, but by how much. And I think the learning is if we think that way and don't respect any opposition, whether it be home or away, you know, the ability is there to get beaten, and that's what happened to us. So the attitude and the mental shift has changed somewhat, and you can also create that by putting them in an environment. You know, we flew in and flew out on Monday to play Western, and then we flew in and flew out to play against Adelaide, and the way they embraced that challenge, the players, is really good. The performance was good. You know, we're playing with 2 strikers this year. As well, so I wanted to change the system up somewhat.
I will say, Rudan, you did bring a top striker. I reckon he's absolute class. Yeah. We haven't had a proper number 9. I know you said it at the forum as well. We haven't had a proper 9 for years, and I honestly reckon you've nailed this with him.
Yeah, Marcus is someone that I've had an eye on for a while now, and you don't always get what you want. You know, it's a really tough place. Or tough market, should I say, at the moment. This off-season in particular has been extremely hard. You know, our Australian dollar has plummeted. Saudi Arabia coming into the market as well, and all these other markets that, you know, people are. And don't forget, Marcus, at the time when I was speaking to him before Leuni came, he was the one that I was after and wanted to speak to try and replace Kudapich. When we didn't get him because he decided to go to Saudi Arabia, we found you know, a player in Barello who embraced that challenge. He had the skill set, certainly at training, to be able to play in that position, and he done extremely well. But Marcus was ever a constant conversation that I was having with him, and, you know, I'd text him, and when he played against Ronaldo, I'd text him after a game to get his shirt and, you know, just have a bit of a laugh with him, and finally, you know, it came to fruition. But I agree, Banana. I think he's someone that can really instill his performances and be a favourite of the fans.
Even set a bit of fear around some of the defenders, other teams. Yeah. Because, I don't know, like I said before, we never had it, but him coming in, usually, like all of us, when we bring obviously other strikers in the past, and we look at the goal scoring records, and it's not the best.
They haven't delivered. They haven't delivered on expectation.
A few years, and then when we've gone back and looked at his resume, and you look at his goal scoring, like you said, he's been in Saudi Arabia, and people go, it's a Farmers League. Yeah, but he's scoring goals.
Yeah, and he's come here, and I think the you know, nationalities are important to me. They've got to understand what the ALEAGUE's about. It's a salary cap league. You know, you're not just looking for players who want a change in lifestyle, but who've got something to give. And this club's very unique, and I've always said that. You know, it's the West is a very unique area, and I think you've heard me talk a lot about that. And you know, when I go through the criteria, the selection criteria player, the research is quite thorough. It's not just the skill sets they bring on the football park. It's making sure that they're the right character. They've got to understand the area. They've got to have that fight about them, because the purpose is a lot larger than just us going out there to play a game of football. We are doing it for our fans and for our community and for our area. And if the only way to do that is to create an identity within the football club that the fans understand. And if they see certain values come out in the park, you can win games, lose games. There's no guarantee you're going to win every game. The best clubs in the world don't do that. But what you can guarantee is an attitude. And that's something that is important for me anyway, and he's certainly been able to.
It's cool you bring that up, because obviously if the people at the forums, they can see, like, when you speak about the West, your passion. Like, whether you succeed or not, they can't doubt your passion about the West. So obviously, like, playing Western Sydney City United, coaching, Rockdale City United, how did, like, understanding the West... I'm a firm believer that in order to actually teach about the West, you have to know the West. Yeah. Like, you can explain the West like our previous coaches. They can maybe explain what the club means to the people, but they don't really understand it. When people listen to you, that they understand it. Like, I'm not sucking up, but it's true. Yeah. So, like, how did, like, you understanding the West, how did that, like, understand the club when you thought of the decision whether to come here or not? Like, did it play a part, or...?
Of course it played a part. Yeah. I mean, I was at the time working as a coach at Sydney United, but also I had a second job working on Fox. And when I saw, my good friend Tony Popovich and take this club and turn it into what he did, I've got nothing but respect, because, the fans, the club was built from nothing, but it was, people say it was always going to succeed because it's the heartland of football, right? But it's not always the case. You really have to draw in that crowd and have a style of play that the people are wanting to, one, watch and to embrace and enjoy and feel like it's their own. 100%. And I thought Papa did that extremely well. I was very envious of it from afar. And then, my own coaching path went a different way. I went through the grind, and 6-7 years in the NPL, and I had opportunities. When Ange was the national team coach of Australia, he gave me a call, and at the time Newcastle Jets were run by the FFA. Yeah. And he offered me the job, but then I had 10 days to have a look at it, and every coach will back themselves, and I knew that if I did well, I'd continue on as a professional coach. But if I didn't, so it's kind of things had to align, and I just wasn't really happy with the process that the governing body had in place there. I didn't think it was going to be enough for me to succeed, and I'm very particular with jobs that I take on, and this one was no different. Initially when I got the call, there was hesitancy, only because of what happened the last 6 years. Yeah. And I had that conversation with Paul Lederer, and unless I was able to really embed my fingerprints on the football club, only then did I think that I was able to do the job properly. Yeah. And I know with that comes, when you've got certain guarantees or elements about making decisions that, the decisions ultimately will fall on your own sword, and that's how I love to live my life. It's I like to be in control of certain aspects, and certainly I've got that within the football department, and it was a matter about like I said, getting respect back. Yeah. Getting respect back. It was so important. You can see the fans were downtrodden. There was a lot of negativity. There were a lot of people can talk about the fan base and this and that, but I've seen nothing of the sort when you talk about that could be naughty or that could be this and that. I mean, every fan base has their own unique way of supporting their club and their team, and we are very unique. What we've got as a code, the AFL and rugby league would die for that.
100%.
Oh, right? 100%.
And
they won't admit it.
No,
they won't admit it.
No, that's a different talking point.
Even though they do, like the AFL, for example, they sell out the crowd. But I guarantee, like you said, they will die to have like just half an hour of what we have.
Yeah, and you can't take that away. And that's organic, and that's something that's the game, particularly in England, was created for the workers, and the teams were selected in different areas for the workers, the hard workers, the labourers, to go out there and follow a team in their region, and normally the chairman was someone that was leading maybe a steel factory or whatever, but it was for the people. And 100 years on, or whatever it is, nothing changes. This game is for the people,
100%.
for the fans, and that should never change.
I think you and Scotty did that. Like I remember, the first forum where Marconi, not this one, the one before, and I remember because Banana was G me up to say something. He goes, Malta, say something. I'm like, no, I just want to. I'm here for the drinks. He goes, no, say something. And I remember I got up.
You were there to say something.
I got up.
You were fired up.
And
bro.
I was fired up. I was fired up. And I got up. I remember I told you and Scotty, I'm like, it's like this is a chance for the club's reborn. Like the previous regime's over. It's like to give us the club that we fell in love with. And so far, I think you guys have done it. So, like, you're saying all this stuff, it's backed up that we can see elements of the club that was under Popovich. Like, fair enough, we haven't had success yet, but it's the club that we can see, the club that we fell in love with, the club that we helped build.
The heart.
So, is there anything like when you first came that you thought, all right, I want to fix this, I want to fix that, or is it just like a whole collective?
Okay, there, Malta. We'll get back into your question.
Thanks,
my
man.
one will go back into your obviously. Going back now, before you even got the job, we'll having a yarn before you got here. I mean, when you were here, before the camera started rolling and all the storm happening. When you were assigned to the job, it was a shit fight.
Oh, it was horrific.
And I remember from the moment you signed and you had the press conference, that it was overshadowed by JT, because instead of you, which every other new manager gets press conference all about them, you got maybe 1-2 questions, and the rest was just direct to JT about his job and how long is he going to last.
And the 1-2 questions that were directed to him were about JT.
Yeah. So you at the time, obviously we all saw,
Probably thought, what the hell have I come into?
what the hell did I walk into?
Well, Rudes, I want to ask, I'm going to say in a more simple way. So as a coach, we've gone through Gombel, we've gone through Babel, we've gone through Robinson, max, 1-2 years?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And you said you wanted to have your fingerprints on the project, right? Now, looking back, what were those demands to the club for you to take up that position? And has the club fulfilled their commitment to what you wanted?
Two-part question.
It was
It's like 4 parts there.
excited,
yeah, that's good. I love passion. I'm no different to you guys. I'm very passionate about the football club and about my job as well. And it was different. I've been a part of a couple of those scenarios, and it was quite daunting to hear that. And I consider JT a friend as well. I've known him for a long time, and I kind of knew what was going on, and you saw the banners and everything else that was going along. And for me, it wasn't really part of my decision making. It's something that I try to go in and fix things. And I think if you historically, that's kind of what I've done. From Sydney United, when they were 1 point away from being relegated in the second division, in that first year we went on to become premiers and Australian champions. To Wellington, who for many years didn't make finals. We made finals, and then a new club at Western, one game away from a grand final. So it was a bit different, but I knew with this club there comes heavy expectations. A lot of demands are placed as well on you. Like I said, it was different, but it's not something that I looked into. For me, my focus was trying to get things right. And going to your question, it's not about my demand. I don't demand when it comes to contract talks. My conversation with Mr. Paul Lederer was a handshake agreement. And I don't have an agent. I don't walk in with an agent. I received the call from them, and it was a handshake, and I said, okay, but I needed some time to have a look at the club. And what I did see was a broken club. I'm not going to lie. For me, football is energy. Football is passion. And when I walked into the offices, I didn't see energy and passion. I saw a playing group and staff who were looking for guidance, really. And if I was able to kind of be part of that journey and maybe lead them and I had a clear vision of where this club should be, a lot of work goes behind the scenes that you guys don't understand. And obviously one was not just to get things right from an office space, but making sure the whole club works together in unison and having staff where we can help each other out, whether it be W League or with the NPL. The NPL space is something, it's a bit of a baby for me. We talk about not charging kids to play. Well, therefore, we shouldn't be told what to do with their kids, whether they by maybe players coming and going or them getting pulled away from external factors. No, we should be able to control that and bring in the right 100%. Coaches who can develop them. And I talk about world's best practice all the time, and I do a lot of research, a lot of study. I travel away, and I've worked with some really big coaches, and I've seen what looks good, and I've worked with a lot of good clubs like Red Bull Salzburg. I spent a week there to have a look and understand more about their youth development system, and we're trying to implement world's best practice. And I think that was important for mine as well. I'm not a CEO. I didn't go to school to do that. I don't know about marketing. I don't know, but what I do know, having worked in the media, is how to get your message across. And I think I didn't want to, and I strategically didn't do any media when I first came to the club, because I'd seen people before me do it, and people just want to see actions come into play. And for me, that was the most important. I wanted for you guys to see it, the fans to see that. And okay, we didn't play the best football, but we're getting results. We were fighting again. There was some discipline within our structure. I always knew in January when I was going to change the style of play with the added players, that we were going to become a better footballing team, and we did that. Look, I as good as last year was, and I think we did get respect back for the football club. It still hurts me. Every night I go to sleep thinking about the second half, in that semi-final. And I'm to blame, and it's completely on me. And that kind of is, really making me work hard to fix things.
Forward. But you saying that you were to blame. All right, maybe I don't know, partly, but for me too. But the players too, they had something to be accountable for too. Not just you. Look, them as well. Like, what happened second? What did they turn off? I don't understand. Like, what happened to them?
Yeah. Look, that hurt me as well. Because you've got to be in the moment. You've got to stay in the moment, and you've got to show that fight. And they really pressed us, and and I wanted to make a couple of changes. I went against my gut feel, and
Murchilla, I think, came off injured
as well. You can't control that.
When he came off, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's but again, that's something, like I said, that I take personally, and I take full responsibility. My players are my players, and I'll always protect them. And I think it's important that that we hurt. We really hurt. I know you guys hurt after a loss and everything else, but so do we. And one of the things that I kind of am big on is, before I sign a player or bring him in, I give them a really clear description on what our area is about and what the people are about. And I spent a few years in a housing commission in Liverpool on the Hume Highway, so I understand that. I've spent a lot of time playing football in the area. All my best friends are there. Going to church like as we did. It was a religion following Sydney United. So I know the people. It's important to know where you're going to, and it's always been important for me. No matter where I've gone, this is a lot easier because it's a lot more personal for me.
There's a connection.
There's a connection. I went to Wellington. I wanted to tap into the Maori culture, and that was unique in itself as well. But this is different. I'm a Sydney sider. It's home, and my family are really happy, and I can honestly say right now, sitting here, I've never been happier personally and professionally, and that also helps too. You guys are all got family, and when things are going well on a personal level, you can go out there and really be yourself professionally.
Ruds, you touched on it. I just want to dwell into it a bit more. The pressure side of football, right? You obviously touched on how a heavy loss you probably eats you alive, chews you up. Now, how do you deal with pressure? Is it something you could just clock off, or is it something you take home with you? What?
That's a good question. I'll tell you why. Because my staff will tell you that I'm all in. I'm 24/7, and whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. And I've had mentors tell me, go and find a hobby. I do play golf, and that's my get out. That's the way I kind of relax. But even when I'm on the golf course with my really good mates and we're having a laugh, and I'm thinking about the game. I'm thinking about the training session. I'm thinking about what could I fix? What could I have done better? How can we improve tomorrow? What can we do? I love what I do. I'm very, very grateful that I've got the opportunity to lead this big club, right? But I know I'm just one game away from losing it. So I'll make sure that I work my ass off to keep it. The pressure, everyone deals with it differently. Could I be better? Yeah, I used to take it home, particularly when I was at Sydney United. You know, and my family would go to the game together, and then I'd go home, and after a loss, they were too scared to talk to me, and that's not what should happen.
Yeah.
And you know, I put them through a lot of pain. You know, and I've put people close to me through a lot of pain because of me. And you know, like I said, no one's perfect, but I know that I've hurt people through that journey, and it's never because I'm a bad person. It's because I take it really seriously. What I do.
It's the emotions, the passion.
And I think I've gotten better in terms of dealing with it. Pressure for me, it's not pressure. It's the high standards that I keep for myself. That's my problem. Is that I expect everybody else's standards to be just as big as mine. My players, my staff, my family, and everything else, my friends. But I've learnt to understand that everyone's bar is different. And it's not through them a lack of want. They want to be the best. My players, my staff, my friends. It's just that my crazy brain and the way it operates and the way it works, it's wired in a real specific way that I wish I could change sometimes. Yeah. But unfortunately, I can't. And God's given me a gift, but I've also got this thing where I don't sleep, you know. And what keeps me up is my family and obviously this job. And that's just how it is. People don't. You guys are hurting. You don't see what we're like when we go home. And you know, I've got a staff and players that hurt just as much. I can guarantee you that. And
we can see like your passion. Like no disrespect for Gomba Babel, but they were like more generic coaches. Like they said the right things, but when you speak, whether at forums or thing, no one can say like you're speaking rubbish. You're just giving the cliche response. No, you can actually see the passion. Yeah. So it comes off, and that's what we appreciate in there, and that's what's helped rebuild this club. Because Popovic was the same. Yeah. Like I know it's unfair, but anyone that comes to this club gets compared to Popovic because of the success, and the similarities are there. Like I hope you end up winning the league like he did, but like so we can see it. So whether it's the way you're wired or stuff, it's part of the DNA of this club. Yeah. So like don't change. Like you're pretty much.
I know that. But like I said, mate, I don't want to change, but I'd also I don't enjoy.
Make sure you get your sleep, bro.
Yeah, sleep in it.
Make sure you get some sleep.
I'll try to get that as well. But like I said, through that whole journey and that whole process over the last 10, 12 years of coaching, it's not because I want to, but it hasn't been easy for people, particularly close to me. And that's something that I know I need to change, and whether or not you get the ability to have that conversation with them sometime in the future, I don't know. But like I said, they don't deserve it. There's a lot of good people that probably got the bad side of me because of the job. A lot of the times, you just want to be successful, and everyone's different the way they do things.
100%.
Absolutely. 100%. Let's maybe go into transfers right now. Rudes, obviously. There was a large exodus of players that went out the door. Yep. Obviously, you've brought players in. I'm not too sure how far your plans are going in regards to bringing anyone else in. But let's just go through those 2 points in regards to all the players leaving and whatnot.
Yeah, I guess no different to, let's say, the Popper area. You become a victim of your own success a lot of the times. And the success that the football club had, that's what was expected no matter who came in, players, coaches and otherwise. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a very demanding club. But last year, we had an okay year. And with that, a lot of our players performed and wanted to get poached or move on. And we work within the salary cap restriction. And it's never easy when you've got 3 or 4 players who are asking for marquee wages. And that's a really hard juggling act.
I think that's like some things like people don't understand. Like just now the salary cap you're saying, and like what you said, he wants fucking 1 point, I don't know, 4 players. How much do they want? 1.4.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. For our league.
Yeah, and the club has never really gone out and spent that kind of money, And I think what other people, as big as a club it is, when you add marquee wages and everything that comes to a football club, we're not even the top 6 in the expenditure. People have this foreign thought that you're a big club, that you spend all this money. Yep. But in actual fact, Western United had Prijovic on over 1.5. Sydney FC have got 2 over $1 million. You've got Perth, who had Adam Taggart on big money, Melbourne Victory, and all. MacArthur had De Villa. Our highest paid player last year was on 500,000. Yeah. So we were nowhere near it when it comes to expenditure. And I guess and I'm not defending my colleagues who were here before, but every coach that comes understands that demands of this football club are all encompassing. But the reality is, we just don't, when you include the marquee wages, spend the kind of money that other clubs do. But that's not an excuse. I don't want to use that as an excuse because on the flip side, you can talk about Central Coast Mariners, who won the grand final last year. But I always say this, there are certain players, and I look for who can play for as heavy a shirt as the Wanderers are. Because with it comes expectations. I've seen players who've performed admirably and then come to the Wanderers and are nowhere near it.
Crumbled.
And then they go somewhere else
because
it's a really demanding club.
It's a heavy shirt.
And it's a heavy shirt.
I would say that, like what you just said now, the players that are good and they've come and they've crumbled is at the moment when you came first to the club, where for most of us, we said at that time of the year, that season, that those players that we had, they were decent players. They were top players.
on paper,
but like you
100%.
said, the jersey was too heavily and they crumbled.
And I think that's what worked in Mariners' favour is they had no pressure, no expectations. They didn't have any marquee players or anything that had to obviously live up to the bill. And I think that worked in their favour. And I think the flip side of it, and a lot of fans don't see, is the pressure that all the players are under to achieve success because we've gone so long without it, Roots. You know?
Yeah, no, I understand that, but look, I can say that we embrace the pressure and the demands. I've got a playing group that are very clear understanding of what the fans and what you guys are about, and we want to make you guys happy. And and they're very solid in the way they apply themselves, right? And we know, and it's really important for me that it's not just about them, whatever motivates them, whether it's money and a better contract or whatever. Everywhere I've gone, I've always tried to find a purpose, and the purpose has to be bigger than just yourself. I've got this real team first mentality, and not just that. It's also about when we walk out, whether it be at home or away, the first thing I always ask them is to have a look at our travelling fans. They make sacrifices to go, whether they drive there or whatever,
On a bus for 24 hours straight.
whatever it is, and that's the purpose. It's bigger than us. Everybody wants to do it, and you don't win a championship if you're not together and you haven't got a real big purpose about you. And I think that's something that's always instilled, but even more so. And they're very clear, irrespective of where they come from. My job is to explain in detail about the football club, about the community, about its fans, what their history is, and who we're representing, and then you can create an identity on the football pitch that it's clearly in line with the club.
I think a great example of that is when we got our asses spanked against Mariners the first time, right?
Yeah.
And there was huge pressure going over to Central Coast for that second game, right? And I think you played Borrella in the 9 for the first time. And we're like, shit, how's this going to go down? But, bro, the boys fucking gave it all that night. They left nothing out there. I think Borrella probably notched 20 Ks that night, right? And I think coming back to what you're saying, there was pressure on the playing group there because not only there's travelling fans, but the last time we versed them, they put it on us, right? And the players have to turn it around, not for us, but for their own pride, bro. So
I think we needed that pause at that time.
That was a big win.
We didn't lose a game, and then they came around and spanked us.
That was not an ideal moment. But it was.
He turned it
It was
around.
embarrassing, and we were all embarrassed by that, and we learnt a lot. And I think from anything in life, it's only when you go through these negative moments that it's not about just moving on. And you hear the old cliche, and I don't like it either. Is let's just get back in the park and work hard. It's not as simple as that. I know that's what the line that maybe people want to hear. I don't accept that because we need to have a real serious chat about what we learnt from that. And that's something that I'm pretty big on. And I think we learnt a lot from that. It wasn't just about getting in the park and sticking together and working hard. It was we need to learn. What did we learn from that? And then as a group, we always get together and we have a process and we speak about the learnings, whether it be positive or improvements.
Couple of comments we were talking, and I know a couple of people just speak to us in general about like academy players or youngsters. Like, were you surprised, I guess, how far players like Newnoff came? Because at the start of the season, we did like our best 11. He wasn't even in the starting lineup. Like, he
Wasn't he
squad
mine either?
and he came, and then,
He wasn't.
and then even like Simmons came through. How important is like the youngsters academy players for?
Yeah, very very important. It's like and I'm very fortunate that You know, I've got a person like Eddie Bosner there that has helped me a great deal in dealing with agents and contract talks and also, you know, creating a different environment in that youth and more particular the NPL space. You know, I was pretty big on taking money from my own staff, so to speak, and giving it to the NPL because I didn't have an assistant coach. There was no full-time physio. There was no conditioning coach. In order to create what I want to create which is the Western Sydney Institute of Sport. I mean, I went through the Institute of Sport, and I saw it develop so many good players. You know, and my era, I was with Mark Viduka, Josip Skoko, Robbie Ennis, Clint Bolton.
The list goes on.
This goes on, right? But it works. You know, we had a fantastic coach there in Ron Smith who developed players. What I see these days, particularly in the youth, is that you've got all these coaches doing licenses now who want to be a Mourinho with the 13s. It's not about systems for me. And AZ Alkmaar has come out and they just won the youth Euros. They beat Hajduk Split. They not just beat them, they murdered them in the final. And then you have a look at them and what they do differently, and you take all these things and then you've got to apply it to what works for you in Australia. But for me, it's purely about developing the individual because a good player can play in any system, right? But we've got so many coaches who, particularly at youth level, who are so focused on the system. A system never wins you a game. I've always said that. The players win you the game. And maybe you might tweak a few things here and there, but a good player will find a way. 100%. And so we need to do that, particularly at our club. And it's almost a change of guard there where we've got new coaches in, a new way of doing things. But that NPL space, I'm really passionate about. We want to change the club from a business point of view, and the strategy was to really put some more effort, money and time into the NPL and give them we've got more scholarship players than any other club, right? And that could work one of two ways. That could hurt me because maybe we haven't got the deepest squad, but I believe in the young ones. And our job as coaches is to continue to work with them, develop them, give them the backing as well. And we did that, and we actually made a lot of money as a football club, which we hadn't done in almost the 8-9 years prior to that. And that's something that we want to continue on because it becomes a snowball effect as well.
Where do you reckon that stopped, like that institution that you said before that you guys were all in, like you listed the names now? Where did it stop, like from... Because that's baffling now, that like you said it now. I remember, I used to hear about that. That era. What happened? How did it die off? Like,
my understanding is...
They killed the LIS,
the Australian Sports Commission put money into sports at the Olympics. So if you're doing well at the Olympics, they fund and they get more funding. Unfortunately, we've never really done hugely fantastic, and that hurt us. And then there were times where we didn't qualify for the Olympics, and then the funding started to be reduced, and then it almost became defunct. And then all you saw these state institutes pop up everywhere, but the actual nationalised institute just went away. That's my understanding. I could be wrong, and anyone can sort of come in and help me on that one, but that was my understanding back when it happened. There's a big call for it to be reintroduced again because I think we need that. A centralised program to help develop the next best young crop of players that are coming through.
It sucks now because like there's a massive gap from when it was until now. Like,
You're talking about the AIS?
yeah, but I'm talking he came through. Like the players coming through. Like,
Viduka, they're all under that system, right?
yeah, but like there's a big pause there now, boys. Like what you said, the funding's gone and all that. There's a massive gap there now. Like what he's saying now, we're trying to rebuild it. Like, we're so falling behind. Like I hate it like that.
Yeah, the onus is on us A-League clubs to try and create the next Mark Viduka or whatever you want to call it. But and that's what we're trying to do. I understand a lot of the time you get a lot of problems in everything, right? In life, at work, and in football, there's many of them. And you've got all these different opinions, and I understand every single one of them, and I appreciate listening to it as well. But right now, we don't have that, and whether it's going to happen or not is almost irrelevant for us because we have to create the best academy at our football club, and then make sure the young players come to us because it's a clear pathway by giving youngsters an opportunity. They know that this is a club going forward that we're going to get an opportunity to move on and further our careers, and that's something that we want to build.
Just on youth, I know we've signed 2 youngsters, Ollie and Dylan. Are they in the first grade squad? What can you say about them? How they're looking?
Which Dylan? I've got Dylan Parias and I've got
The Wolves boy.
Shalina,
Yeah, Chilean.
yeah. He's you know
None of them played first grade. Am I right?
No,
Okay.
no. Yeah, Oscar Priestman was the other one.
Yep.
Look, Oscar is very raw. He's got a lot of skill sets to him. You know, yeah. I just think with Oscar, he needs to understand the tactical side of it,
Yep.
and he's getting better at that. And we put a lot of work into these guys, and he, like I said, he's got natural talent. But we play to a specific way of playing, you know, and it's very detailed, both with the ball and without the ball. And I think he just has to get better in that. You know, Dylan's, you know, has been in the English system now for about 5 or 6 years. He needs to get rid of the English accent. Not talking about it.
He represents Malta, right?
Yeah.
It's
Quality. Make him captain. Make him captain for sure. We've tried the Greeks, they failed. The Bosnians failed. Maltese the next one.
It actually was the Greeks when he came in. It was all Greeks. We saw how that went. I mean, he tried the Bosnian project. That failed too.
Didn't even last the season.
That didn't fail. I must say about Kudopic, you know, Kudopic, it was a personal issue with him, you know, and I don't think he minds me saying this, but a lot of people don't know is that, you know, he lost his mother probably after about round 5 or 6, and he was very close to her. He only had her; he didn't have a father, and you know he was without his wife as well. And you know she buried her very quickly, right? Yeah. And so he didn't have the next day. That's because it's part of his religion. He didn't have the ability to say goodbye properly. It really hurt him, and his football, you know, kind of suffered because of that. And you've got to understand the human element all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, like as you see us. Whether it be live in stadiums or on TV, and you probably see this real passionate coach who's all encompassing and really driven and everything else, and probably a dickhead at times, and maybe I am a dickhead at times. Some of the things that I do, and I know that I shouldn't do, right? But and then you see the players sometimes they're doing this, but they're humans, mate. You know, and one thing you should never take away is that we feel as well, huh? You know, like we've got a heart, we've got feelings. You know, it hurts us too. And just as there's nothing better than seeing my players happy after a win, and seeing you guys happy, and then everyone at the club. That's why I do it. You know, my purpose is for that, is to get the best out of people and make them realise that they're a lot better than what they actually think they are, and then put out the practice, right? So, you know, with Kudopic, he was a fantastic person. You know, I still stay in touch with the guy, and it just, you know, from a football point of view, I needed to find a solution to that. And you know, we ended up allowing him to leave, and then Leuni came in and Schneiderlin, and we moved Borello, and it worked. It clicked.
100%.
It did click. Just on that, Rudes, you talk about the man management side of things, right? You've obviously been around for a long time. How has the man management side of things changed over the years, man, or over the decades, if you want to say? Is it more personalised to each player now, or can you just address the group in one go, or what's your? Have you developed over time? Have you changed that? Have you moulded into, I guess, a more caring type of manager?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because I can't talk for all the managers and coaches out there. I can only talk about my own thing. Look, when I first started, I was a very what can I say? I was tough. Yeah, tough. I was very tough. You know, it was basically my way, or the highway. You either pull in line or you're out. You know, and that's, like I said, was 12, 13 years ago. And look, I must say, we won most things that year at United. You know, we were Australian champions. We were, you know, premiers that year.
I remember that time.
Yeah, and then the second year, they got tired, right? And then it wasn't until at the end of that second year, I'm not sure if we made finals or not. We won the Waratah Cup, but we didn't. And I had a big self-reflection moment. And I spoke to a mentor, and he said, look, have you ever asked for feedback from your staff and your players? And I was going like, come on, dude, you're asking me what they think.
I'm the gaffer.
Yeah.
I'm the boss. Yeah.
I'm the boss.
I'm
I don't
asking
ask
for
questions.
mutiny on the boat, you know. I can't have like 10 captains on the boat, you know. It just doesn't work that way, man. It's got to be. But you know what? As hard as it was for my ego to swallow, and I said, you know, I'm going to do this. And the learnings that I got from my players was incredible, right? And I changed significantly. And as a result of that, the year after, you know, I changed a lot of things, and we won everything. The Waratah Cup, qualified for the FFA Cup. We won the World Premiers. We won the Australian Championship for the second time again. The only thing we did was we lost the grand final against Blacktown. Right? So out of the 4 trophies, we won 3, right? And
This guy's solid.
I like Black. I follow Black. That's good.
And anyway, that was a really good learning for me. And so I really have
Learn from
changed
your
my
losses.
management ways. And the other thing, I guess it's a 2-part question, is I'm seeing a big generation shift now, right? So, you know, when I first started, that generation was able to deal with my messages and more particular the delivery of the message, right? These young ones don't respond to that.
They can't cop the hairdryer treatment.
And I always say to them, don't listen to the tone, listen to the message. And when I get angry, people might get a little bit whatever, right? And I always say, just please concentrate on the message, not on the tone.
It's true. Like even with my kids, same thing. I yell at him. I go, don't, like when I take him to train, when I take him to myself, I go, I'm not yelling at you because I don't like you or hate you. I'm telling you because you have to do. Like,
There's a message.
There's a message behind what I'm saying, and you'll understand that when you realize after 2-3 games you do something wrong, you're gonna come back and say, you know what, my old man, the idiot, he was actually right, and he does that. We do that together.
I'll tell you probably with the other thing, Banana, with your son, and I know this with my own kids as well, and particularly with my players, is, and I keep telling them, it's important for me to explain to them also what gets me angry. And what gets me angry is because you know your job, and I expect you to do your job. So when you don't do it, that angers me. When you don't do the things that I know that you can do.
Exactly.
Right? That's what hurts me as well, is that you're dropping your standards. Don't do that. You know, there's greatness in everybody. There really is. It's just about finding that thing that drives you. And mate, like I said, I'm so fortunate to do something I love. Not everybody is able to do that.
Exactly.
Like I said, my second son is a plumber. Now, he enjoys it. He's in his first year apprenticeship. But that's your life. Is that something that you're always going to love? I don't know. You know, I'm so grateful and thankful that I do something I absolutely adore. And I guess that's where it goes to. When I see players who are privileged, you're getting paid, you're a professional footballer, but there are thousands of kids who would die to be in your position.
Exactly. That's
Don't
exactly
waste
what I
it.
told my son.
Don't waste it. And that's what angers me. And that's where the pain comes in, you know. I don't get angry because of any other reason other than you know what to do it, or you're much better than that. Yeah. You know, don't
That's how you
allow
felt
yourself
after the
not
Brisbane
to be.
game?
Yeah, I did. And to be fair, they didn't cop a spray. And it was, I was so disappointed and somewhat embarrassed by that, that my conversation, I don't normally talk to the players afterwards because the players know themselves. They know when they haven't played well or haven't given everything. But my talk to them was just in a real, kind of toned down voice, was that I was embarrassed and it hurt me because we are much better than that.
Sorry to cut you off. Do any of like for example, after the game now, the Brisbane game, do any of the players after the game when I know it's all doom and gloom in the change room as it would be after a loss? Do any of the players get up and say before you say anything and say, boys, we need to fucking wake up. We can't play like that anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I guess on game day, the process, I really leave the players alone. I let them prepare their own way and everything else. At half time, I've got 5 to 6 minutes, or to be exact, 6 minutes 30, to bring my staff in and talk about the key things that we need to address. And then if we've got the ability to put a video up, we'll show them a couple of really good positive actions, reinforce that, and the things that we need to improve on. But it also gives them 6.5 minutes to, amongst each other, talk about what went right or what went wrong. And they're actually pretty vocal in that moment. To be fair, we've got a very good process, and we work on that process all the time, and we speak to each other, and we are honest with each other as well. So, if I'm playing as a stopper with you, Banana, we've got the ability to say, man, I really need you to protect me. Huh? We're trying to play a higher line, and man, you were 2 minutes behind me. I need you, brother. I need you next to my side, and they do that, and that's great. After the game, again, I don't really know because they're in their dressing room. That's their holy grail. I don't like going into there until, because I've got media commitments and I've got all that sort of stuff. I'm going through my own reflection process too. When they win, that's their time. Yeah. I only enter in when we do the team song. But when we lose, again, it's not a good unless it's a really bad loss. straight afterwards. Normally, I don't do that. The Brisbane is probably the second time I addressed the group straight afterwards as well in the dressing room. No, actually, it was in the hotel, sorry, but I did address them. But yeah, so I don't know, I can't answer that, Banana, as to what they do straight after a game. Look, after a win, these guys are popping corkscrews in the air. And laugh,
And so they should.
dancing nude and all that sort of stuff, right? Yeah, so, but after a loss, I know it's eerie silence, mate, that's there. And sometimes you're best off not saying nothing at all, and gives everybody an ability. I mean, back in our day, I was a very vocal leader. I was that kind of person who would give it to my teammates and not good enough and we've got to be better. But society's changed, people have changed. It's not like that. I know
I'm not a fan of that. I don't like it.
I know, but it's different. It's
Changed too much. Too much.
Out of the dressing room, but out of the current playing staff, who do you think's the most vocal? But like more so, like obviously Marcelo's the leader, the captain.
Marcelo's very vocal,
Yeah.
very, very vocal in terms of telling people how he feels at any given time. Barello has grown into this leadership role as well, and so has Lawrence Thomas massively, right? Nick is a very quiet guy, but he's got so much respect in the dressing room as
When
well.
he speaks, everyone listens.
He's one of those types, You got another one, Joshie Brillante, who has been phenomenal, but another quiet leader. He doesn't shout and rave and rant, but he's the ultra professional, does the job, gets the job done. People respect him so much because of he fills all his gaps and he's always there. But just his level of professionalism, the way he conducts himself when he walks in. And that's also what I wanted to create. I wanted to bring winners to the club because we wanted to create a winning mentality. You don't just do that. You've got to bring the right people in.
I
but
feel
also
like
professionals.
Brillante is the player. I was very happy when you bring him in, but I feel like he's the player. He needs to be like, how can I say it?
G'd up.
Like G'd up. Like I don't even know how to say it now. Like
led
in the right direction. Because if you don't give him that guidance, he won't go. But I got that feeling like you've told him the right stuff, but it's not bullshit stuff. You've told him the right stuff and what you need, and you believe in him. I think he lost that at Melbourne Victory. Like I think Popper believed in, obviously believed in him when he brought him, but I think he lost that later on in the season when everything started going pear shaped, and
I think it's
just fell
confidence.
off. Yeah,
Confidence as well.
too.
Yeah, confidence is
He's
gone.
a player on confidence. That's what I see. When he was at Sydney FC, he was top. So
When I was-
I'm hoping he can bring that back to him.
When I was watching victory games, right, they had the mic in his face after every loss, and he just kept saying, "We've got to be better. We've got to be better each week," and that's draining for a player. So I think sometimes a change of environment.
I mean, one of the first questions I asked him is the fire still in the belly. Everybody's he's been successful. And one of the things he said in the last 7 years when he played in the A-League, for 6 of those years, the team that he played for finished in the top 2. And that was another reason why I brought him to the football club. We needed to replace Callum somehow and Morgan Schneiderlin, right? We had a big gap in the middle of the park there. And so, it's proven. And I just felt like, maybe like you said, but it was a tough year for Melbourne Victory, right? Especially what their fans had to go through, and then what the club had to go through as a process. Imagine having to play your home games with no crowd. It's not easy. And then being the leader of that club, it's a big club as it is, right? And then to do all that, you're the spokesman. You and the coach are basically the two people, right? And so I didn't think they played bad football. If you statistically,
Unlucky.
they should have been in the top 6 when you look at statistics, but. It's moments, and if you don't, like when you've got momentum and you're getting shots but you don't score, that pressure comes back onto you a lot more. And I think it was just one of those where the momentum just kept going the other way for them. But Joshy, pretty much the same, but he's found a home here, and he's
He's
you
happy?
said, you're right,
He's happy?
he's very happy. All the boys, it's a real strong together squad, and it's like, I don't want to go into too much detail about that. I think it's more important that you guys see it out in the park. But we went somewhere and we worked on our values and reinstalling our values and understanding what our values meant to us, right? And it was a 24-hour thing that we did, and mate, we come out of that so strong. Nice. That's what I could say. That's what I can say.
It's the bonding session, was it?
It was a bit more than that.
Okay.
A bit more than that, yeah.
Just quickly, Roots, a lot of our fans obviously had question marks about Marcella's replacement. But from the earlier talk, Bonitic, you're really happy with him. he's the guy to fill that void?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe in the young ones, and Alex, I remember him when he was 15. When I was watching a game, he was under 16s. He was playing a year up, and he was playing as a central midfielder. And the coach at the time wanted me to watch and give him some feedback and everything else. And so I went out there and I saw this kid. I didn't know who he was, but I said to your coach, "Mate, who's the midfielder?" And he said, "It's Alex Bonatig." And that's when I first heard about him. And then, as you do, went through a growth spurt, and he's had a lot of injuries, through his growing pains and things like that. But I've always believed in him. I think the world of him as a player and as a person. And he's a left footer, and he makes a big difference with angles and passing out and everything else. And he obviously has to learn his way. But when you've got someone like Marcelo who makes people better next to him, he's been fantastic as well. And look, it's not to say that I haven't actively been looking in the market, because I have, but it has to be the right person. And I look at all that and I go, well, I've got Alex. He's been with me for 12 months. He understands this, and he's working extremely hard, and he's doing. I will say, when we played Adelaide behind closed doors, he was, for me, our best player, right? And even when I made a raft of changes at half time and everything else, he stayed on because he needs the games. He led those guys. Wow. And he was playing
for a young kid
and
too.
just driving with the ball and keeping the line and communicating. And so, I believe in him and I want him, but he has to also take that belief from the coaching staff onto the pitch and really perform like we believe the way he knows. We
Make
know
that position his.
That's right. But like I said, we've only got 3 foreigners.
Yeah.
I don't believe in just filling him up for the sake of it, because we've seen historically, not all 5 always play at the same time. You're not always going to get them right, and every coach will tell you the same thing, right?
It was funny when you said it, not funny, but just sounded funny at the fan forum when you were saying, because when
this Diet Coke is really good, by the way.
haven't seen the apple juice. You haven't finished your apple juice. Apple juice. You've had a little bit to go. Shut off. At the fan forum, obviously we know that you said there's 3 foreign spots filled. Obviously there's 2 more. Yeah,
there's 2 more.
I found it funny when not funny like I said just now. Weird that a player gets offered, like you said, is there going to be any more? And you said, there was a player offered, but he was offered to this club, that club, this club. I find that stupid.
And one player can be offered to 3 or 4
yeah,
A-League
one
clubs.
player's offered to 3 clubs.
It's the agent, eh?
Happens every year. Oh, not always the agent.
Oh, yeah?
No, some players are represented by a multitude of agents. Like I've had the same player sent to me by 5 different agents. And then you ask for, legally we don't want to waste our time. Who's got the mandate? Eddie does look after a lot of that sort of stuff, but obviously because of my network, people send me players as well. So you either get the same player offered. It's funny because
I find that like a turn off. When you he rings you and he goes, he's been offered to 5 clubs. Hang on, mate. Does he want to play at our club or not? Don't give me we're offering this club. He's got another 3 clubs. He wants.
It's like a girl that's been around. You don't want it.
You don't want to.
it happens quite often. But for me, it's again, I look at the characteristics. I look at a lot of different things. We've certainly got a database of players. When I came to the club about and we always look through that. And when you speak to the player, I can tell straight away who's bullshitting to me because I've spoken to a lot of players. I was a player myself. You can see when it's coming from and then there are times where you think you're at that last stage where you've sold the club, you've sold the identity, what we want to achieve. We want to win a championship. We're not just there to fill up the numbers. I want winners, mate. I want someone that can help us bring that championship back to the club, for the first time ever in its history. And then it is about the money.
It's always
they'll say it's not about the money, this and that, but ultimately it is. And I understand that as well because players have got only a certain amount of time. But I will say there are players, who don't just concentrate on that. And I can honestly say I've made decisions based on money, and I've made decisions based on what I thought was the best opportunity for myself. I always wanted to play at a big club. I wanted to always be the best that I could be and be in a successful club. And they're the kind of people that I want, And I've been offered more money at smaller clubs. I didn't take it because I believe. And that all started when I got out of the Institute of Sport. And I knew going back to Sydney United, a club that I spent all my youth at, I just wanted to go there. I knew I had Popper in front of me, Kuprasak, Mark Babic, and I was going to have to play and wait
What a team,
bide my time.
some of those names.
that's huge, man.
And I could have gone to Olympic, Wollongong Wolves, all these. I had 4 clubs that I could have gone to, but that was my dream. I wanted to go there for a lot less money as well. Yeah. But it was probably the best thing that I ever did when I kept my dad happy. Right? No, but I was learning from these guys every day. It made me better, and being in a team that was successful just made me better. Yeah. And it came to a point after the first year where I did approach the coach and I said, look, I really want to play now. I think I'm ready to play. And Sydney Olympics chasing me, Marconi, and I want to go. And the coach sat me down and he said, mate, this is your breakout year. And that's what ended up happening, right? So there's a lesson to be learned in biding your time and being at a good club with good coaches and good players where you can learn much more than maybe just playing for a smaller club. And what have you learned other than playing, right?
So that game time.
I think a lot of players in the A-League get a bit excited. Like when they have a breakout season, they want to move overseas straight away when maybe sign overseas, but come back on loan for a year or two and then earn it.
Yeah, that's an issue for me as well, I must say. Yeah, that's an issue.
Actually, Rudan, I'm going to pressure a bit now.
Yeah. Here we go. It's going to be
all right. So obviously, like I mentioned, the exodus of the players that went out and whatnot. So we lost some players in regards with Neuenhoff, which was a pivotal player in the midfield, Mafaltano. Yankee's gone as well. There's quite a few players that went out the door. Considering the players that you've brought in now, do you believe that what you've brought in can make us improve in this season in comparison to what we had last season, like player-wise, like squad-wise?
Yeah, look, I always believe in what we're trying to achieve, and I think this team, like I said at the start, is a different type of team. I think we've got more pace about us. We've got more. There's a bit more youth about us. We can actually play a style. Because I'm not a coach that's just really strict on one system, a style of play, but no. I've always got different things, and I like to challenge myself and do something different because by the time people figure it out, you're already on to the next thing kind of thing, right? But I think last year, for different reasons, it's, Cass Yengi had another year, but he was desperate to go and we got a good offer for him.
No, that was a no-brainer.
Scoring goals.
Yeah, that was
okay, Romano Amafatano isn't playing anymore. He said, I'm going back to France. My children.
Homesick? Was he homesick?
His children. He wanted to move his children into a French-speaking school in Australia, and that was a fair way, right? And so he made a decision not because he didn't love the club or the environment. It's because for his family, right? Fair enough. I could say Yenny was the only one that I didn't give another contract to. Like in terms of negotiations.
He died out in the back end.
Let's be honest. Someone did say this, like literally before we even announced him. Like some people tell us always this shit, and I know you're not too happy about that. What can we do? It's just random fucking shit. We're going to tell what it is, and literally he told us already. Like he goes, he starts off good, and then he just burns out, and it's exactly what happened. Like,
is that Yenny or Yengi?
Yenny.
Yeah.
So this is exactly what happened. He started well, kind of went good, and then towards the end of the season. So I understand exactly why you didn't give him another contract.
Yeah, but I can go through a lot of them in terms of why. And like I said, that wasn't our strategy to decimate the squad and have players leave. Players go for different reasons. Like I said, a lot of them played well and were good enough to go. Others we wanted to keep and retain. We just financially couldn't do it. Yeah. And then you find yourself in a salary crap situation. I mean, I would love to give every player what they want.
Well,
but we can't do that.
Yeah.
Right? And the NSL allowed you to do that, but then again,
there was no cap back then, yeah?
No, halfway through the year, if you weren't doing well, you didn't get paid. and so they got away with it, right? You were going to leave, So,
no wonder why the league didn't last.
So there's a lot of good things attached to it. There were transfer fees, and I think we should introduce transfer fees as well, right?
Yeah,
based on food. Ruled out all the exodus, all the players that left. I just want to emphasise on one, Neuenhoff.
Yeah, big loss.
A lot of our fans don't know if the club did enough to retain him, obviously. He had a breakout season, just without going into too much detail. From what I understand, the club, there was an attempt to keep him
You're
in.
not a Sydney FC fan?
No.
No, there was. We identified Callum quite early. Like I said, you guys said it, and I was no different. Was he penned in as kind of my first 11 when day one of pre-season was there? No. But things happen. You know, Oli Bazanik done his calf pretty badly, and it opened the door for Callum, who was flying in pre-season. You know, come January, we held discussions and we tried to nail him down and give him a long-term contract, and a very good contract at that as well. He wanted to wait and just continue on and focus on playing. We knew that. We also knew that we had him tied up for another year. I mean, if you talk about business, I mean, that was pretty shrewd business from the football club. We got him for 45,000 for 2 years on scholarship, and yet was able to play more minutes than any other player in the team. And admittedly, on my side, probably our best player for me.
Hands down.
Yeah.
However, he really wanted to go, and he was getting offers, and you know, we were trying. What we do, you know, we want the best for our players, and you know, I stay in touch with Cassini Yengi and Callum Newenoff and all these sort of guys because they're part of the family, right? And you feel like there's a sense of purpose there, and you're part of their journey. You want to continue to be there if they want you to be there, right?
Yeah.
But we tried, and like I said, you can't take that away. I mean, he had some initial setbacks with his injury at Hearts, but if you watch him, like I have been, you know, he started the last 3 games, and
He's looking good.
he's looking good.
Do you reckon they like, for example, like now in your, do you reckon they go like they jump the gun
Like
too early? Yeah, and then
A lot of them do.
a lot of them do. That's
lot of
that's
them
what I
do.
don't like. I like I've said it multiple times on this. I'd like those players like him just to have that one more extra year to really cement himself,
Like Azani.
in this league, like Azani. But
Yeah.
he, I don't know what happened. Too many injuries. He was injury prone. But like to really cement himself in this league where the people around Australia can say, can actually go and watch this guy.
Want to go watch him,
Want to
yeah.
go watch him.
Yeah.
And then he can get his opportunity to go.
Well,
Where he's really in demand to go. Not like this where it's like a tug of war.
Banana, that's dangerous. You know why it's dangerous? Because you leave him here for another year, you run out his contract, he goes for free. Right?
That as well plays a part, but
All of a
you
sudden,
get what I mean.
But it does. But it does because
You gotta think about the
we're
business.
going through a situation now where we've got a young one who played some games last year who's coming out of contract, and it's pretty tough. They know that they can go for free at the end of the year, and it's the old, do we not play him? Do we play him? If we don't play him, well, he suffers then, and those dreams of going overseas don't happen. But if you play him and he plays well, you lose him and you don't make money out of it. And
Someone else could be there.
yeah, that's right. So it's never an easy one. I mean, I always believe that I don't ever get held to ransom from any player or agent. I don't deal with agents, for that matter. For me, it's, okay, no dramas. The next one comes in, and I'm going to coach the next one up to be just as good, if
It's
not
having
better.
faith in the system, eh?
Just how it
next
is.
player
Yeah.
mentality.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you an interesting question, Rids. We're talking about plays here. I want to focus on yourself. You got a year left on your contract, right? Obviously, we've all been watching Ange over in Europe, and you just obviously just emphasise how much of a ambitious person you are. Not just for your playing days, obviously as a coach. Is that a window? Is that an opportunity you're looking to explore in the future? Obviously, with Ange's success, he's obviously created a pathway for Aussie coaches now. Something that wasn't there maybe 2-3 years ago. Is that something you're looking for in the future?
Yeah, look, I wouldn't be lying. You know, my club knows, my CEO, my owner know how ambitious I am. You know, I would never hold the club to ransom or use the club as that tool. That's not what I'm about. I come from a pretty genuine place. You know, wherever I go, I work really hard to be the best servant for that football club, right? But you know, Ange is a mentor of mine, and like I said, he gave me my opportunity at Newcastle when his national team. He stayed in touch with me. I don't know why. When I was at Sydney United, you know, while he was winning titles at Brisbane, you know, there must be something there. I've got nothing but admiration for the guy. It doesn't surprise me knowing what Ange is like, that he's had this success, and everywhere he's gone, he's been questioned. Now, I think a lot of coaches do. I know I certainly have been questioned wherever I've gone, and why him, but that's all part of the process. One thing that I do, one expectation that I know is people are going to question you, and people are going to be negative towards you. It wouldn't be the same if it wasn't like that. That's just how it is, right?
Comes with the job.
What's not expected is for people to do thorough research.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. That's not expected as much for me. Just like when Ange went to Celtic, you had these people who came out, ex-footballers, big players, who questioned him. Now, if you did your thorough research on him and really had a look at his journey and his pathway and what he instilled at every club he went to,
It's a winner.
you don't, and that's what I don't expect. People to really research They hear things now on social media.
They just believe it.
It sounds great. Let's go with it.
Yep.
It's a great story, and they just don't do the research properly, right? So that's not expected. So am I any different to my mentor? No, I'm no different to him. I've got big aspirations, but while I'm here, I can honestly say
You're all in.
I'm all in.
Yeah.
And I'm driven to bring something that, my good friend Popper on 3 occasions came close to.
Yep.
But, that's not the ACL. I mean, that's
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever going to be done by an Australian
No.
club. But to win a grand final for
now.
this football
No,
club
no
is
way.
certainly something that drives me every day.
Yeah. Fuck, I hope it happens. Is that your goal for this season?
Achievable.
Is that your goal? A lot of people saying, what's your goal?
Personally, it shouldn't be about me because a goal is never about one person.
Yeah.
And I always say that it can only happen with my staff who work tirelessly every day to be the best they can be and the playing group. And if all of that comes together and the people in the office and we're all in and we put the club first, club first mentality, then I think anything's possible. But that's got to be genuine.
Yeah,
When
100%.
it becomes genuine and the purpose becomes greater than our own, only then do good things come, I believe.
That's a good point. I think with this club, last season we kind of I would have taken what happened last season. We would have taken in pre-season 100%. I just want to make finals. I think with this club, what we did last season for this season, without setting targets, is probably a minimum. Like make finals, and ideally I want to make finals, win one game in the finals, and like gradually build Rome over a couple of years. You can't build it in a day. No. So I think the expectation comes that we should be making finals with this squad. Is that realistically where your goal is? Your goal is like win the final.
Of course, it goes without saying, particularly in Australia where you play finals football. A lot of the foreigners don't really understand that. It takes them a lot of time to get their heads over the longest pre-season in the world.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And then also the fact that you got what they call a cup competition
At the end,
at the end of the regular season.
Yeah.
I've never got to this.
Yeah.
I can't
I'm a
use
bit
it.
old school. I think first past the post is the one that. But in order for that to be, for me, glorified and rectified, I think we need to play more games. Now, if we have a 36-game season or whatever the case might be, now I understand logistically it's not easy because there's the other codes also share stadiums like the Eels do with our home ground. That's also difficult, but there's no reason. I still think that with any problem, you can find a solution.
100%.
I think if you focus more on the solutions rather than, as we do, unfortunately, in the football fraternity, we seem to focus a lot on the problems.
Yeah.
We know the problems. I'd like us to go, okay, there it is, but what's the solution?
Yeah.
I'm always open-minded and my ears prick up when I hear people talking about solutions rather than the problems. I think we all know that this game's got a long way to go for it to prosper. But if we can find a way to play a 34 to 36 game season, there are so many more benefits. The fans
100%.
love it, the players would love it. It gives more
game time.
development time for players to. I just think it serves a bigger purpose, and we are in Asia now. We're the one of a few Asian leagues that play so few games.
And then have promotion or relegation.
I don't know if any of you guys, I don't really follow it, but do the Japanese and like South Korean, do they play like a whole season in champions, or is it same?
First past the post.
First past
Yeah,
post.
first past the post.
And
Yeah.
then they've got two different cup competitions.
They got the Emperor's Cup
Well,
or something.
Well, Malta, you said the other day, because I asked you the other day about the NPL New South Wales here. I go,
Yeah, that was-
who's in the finals this year, and you told me there's no finals.
First season they didn't do finals. I think they're
actually
going
like
back.
that.
I didn't.
Actually, I really
don't know,
appreciate it.
but I think like
It was weird at first, but
yeah,
It was weird.
because the season
They
was
played
over.
more games.
They did.
Yes.
I think
A lot more
RPA had
games.
it.
Was it Apia?
Yeah,
Okay, they won it.
they had it wrapped up like 10 rounds left.
Doesn't matter.
They had a slip.
They did.
They had a slip 3 games.
Was right up
Rockdale
there.
was right.
Rockdale was, Blackdown was there. This is the first time ever the NPL didn't have finals. I think they might be going back to it if the rumours are right.
I
don't know. I don't know.
Carry it on like this. This is good.
Yeah, but I think, like you said, I think we need a lot more teams. Like with the expansion of Auckland, Canberra coming in, that might make it whatever is 26
When's
or
that
28
happening?
comp. Well, they confirmed the
Definitely
Auckland.
coming in next year.
They got the guy from America.
What are your thoughts about that? Because they were here last time, and
The New Zealand
Oh,
Lights.
look, I think what you've got is an owner.
He's loaded.
but then
He's the Bournemouth owner, isn't he?
Hang on,
That
Malta.
means nothing.
You
Who's
just
Who's
heard
the
what-
owner?
you heard
The
what-
Bournemouth
You heard
owner.
what Rudan said before.
Is he?
We've got an owner too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we got a billionaire.
Yeah.
But like you said,
but
we were fifth on the list of spending.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what
true.
I mean?
True,
Doesn't mean
true.
because he's a billionaire now.
He's gonna
gotta
spend.
every cent.
He's applied a budget.
I think his money is going a lot of avenues.
Yeah, there are also 2 other owners that are
Yeah.
attached to the
Yeah,
football club. And what I will say about Paul, know. And my first question to him was, "Why do you do this? Like, what you've built up with Primo, and you can do anything you want. You know, you should be skiing in
the Alps or something.
the Alps,
Chasing the sun everywhere.
exactly, yeah. Because he said to me, for 40 years he built a business in the West. He got to know all 4,000 employees. Every morning he'd be there. You know, I was lucky enough to read his book. I mean, for 40 years he didn't see sun. You know, at 4 in the morning he'd be in the factory and he'd stay inside until dawn. Wow. He'd go home and it'd be night again, right? His poor wife had suffered, but he did that for the people. And what he wanted to give back, this was an opportunity for him to give something, a bit of joy back to the people. That's why he doesn't charge the kids. That's why he's still involved. He's a football man. You know, he grew up, his story's incredible, you know, and he was a refugee in Hungary and escaped and all the rest of it and came to Australia like a lot of our parents did, right? To find a better life for their family. He was no different. And he loved Australia because, like my parents do, they gave him an opportunity. The harder you work, the more you're going to get out of life, right? And that's what happened with him. And so he wants to give something back to the people of the West because they gave him so much with his company. So I know
Credit to him.
Yeah, no, there's always a reason behind it. But like I said, I always like coming here for me to. What's the purpose?
Yeah,
a purpose is always important. You know, I wanted to bring us, for whatever reason, together. You know, you guys are so important to what we're trying to achieve as well, right? Love me, hate me, it doesn't really bother me, but the fact, if you can see that there's a bond that we want to try and create, you know, with the CEO and the owner and everybody involved in the football club, you know, when we win, we're all happy. When we lose, we're all disappointed.
100%.
You know? I think that's important. That's kind of why I decided to do this, right? It's that you hear from me and you maybe, it's not just what you see on the TV or what you hear in the media. You know, there's a little bit more.
Just on that, Rude, like we started this platform obviously 2-3 years ago, and when we started it, I would have never thought in our wildest dreams that would have had players and coaches on this platform, right?
Yeah,
it's pretty
crazy.
It's surreal. But Rude, every player we've approached has said, "I've got to ask the gaffer," and has come back to us and said, "We're all clear."
Yeah.
So on, you know. I think we just want to say thank you.
Yeah.
We see what you're trying to do. When you emphasize that togetherness, your actions are actually showing that. We've never actually had an opportunity to thank you for that. We've had how many players come on this show, and it's all because you've given the green light, Roots.
Yeah, you've given us the most players.
Finally, the year itself. So I just wanted to say thank you on that, Roots.
And a lot of people might...
Yeah, but thank you for your support as well. I mean, it works both ways. For me, life is always a two-way street, right? It's never one way. We know that whether I'm here today or tomorrow I'm gone, or the players, you guys will always be here. You guys genuinely love this football club.
Yeah.
And you know, when I bring someone here, I'm no different. You know, I want to make a difference in that journey that I'm here. I could be here for the next 10 years. I don't know, right? We'll see how things unfold.
I hope so, because that means he succeeded.
Yeah, but certainly, you know, what you guys do, and you're very passionate. You know, a lot of fans are no different. You know, there's a lot of passionate people out there, but this club's unique. I've always said that.
Yeah.
Right? And anything that we can do to try and, you know, like I said, bring us a bit more together, there's nothing wrong with that, you know. I think it's important that you hear from our side because, yeah, you might see a bad performance from a player. I guarantee there's not one player that wants to go out there and lose or not play well and stuff like that. And then they hear the jeers from the crowd or the boos because we might be losing at half-time. And that hurts, huh?
100%.
That hurts. Now, you've got every right to express how you feel, right? But you have to understand, it's important for you guys to get to know them as human beings, not just as, you know, footballers, right? Yeah. And by them coming here, that's why it's important for you guys to see that as well. Maybe also the guy who's leading the club at the time right now, which is me, and know a little bit maybe about me and what we're trying to do that you wouldn't have done otherwise.
We'll wrap it up there.
Do you have any messages for the fans, Rudes?
Any questions, bro? Where are you going, bro?
The one question was, are you for or against the salary cap? Quick one.
I'm against it. I'm against it. Look, I believe in free trade. I believe in players. Like for me, it's a tough time as a player, and our kind of era created the players' union. But it was created for different reasons. You know, now we're getting a little bit too far ahead in terms of what exactly their role and responsibility is. But for ours, it's about, you know, protecting the player, you know, and making sure that if we sign a contract, we'll just get paid. Right? All I wanted to was to get that money. So Anyway, in terms of salary cap, I believe in, and this country has given us that. I've seen it with my parents, mate. They worked hard. Me and my sisters barely saw them together because they always worked at different times. And what this country has taught me is that the harder you work, the higher up the ladder you go.
100%.
Right? And it's no different. If a club can afford to pay more wages, let them do it.
Yeah.
It happens everywhere else in the
If
world.
you earn it, you should get it.
For us in America.
Yeah.
I know they want evenness and they want
yeah.
a competition like that, but that's not life.
Yeah.
There's always going to be
It's a
someone smarter
dog-eat-dog
than you
world sort of thing.
in maths or in English. No matter
100%.
how hard you try to work, but it's your job to try and get up.
I understand. Like I'm against the salary cap as well. Just like probably everyone here. I understand. Like I don't like it, but I understand it. Do you reckon like they're scared we might fall back into the NSL days? Like
Yeah,
where it's
potentially.
gone, you know?
I think they're scared they'll lose clubs like Central Coast. Like, no disrespect to Central Coast. I think the clubs like Central Coast won't be able to offer players the money like we can or
No, but
Victoria
I'll tell
can
you
or
what Central
something.
Coast can do in a system like
The
this.
youngsters.
There's no salary cap and there's a transfer system. It allows players who probably aren't ready to play for the bigger clubs yet to start their careers somewhere. If they have a great season, well, then the Wanderers or Victory have to pay,
yeah.
500,000, and that money goes back to the Mariners,
100%,
right?
yeah.
So there's always a way to
Make money.
to be able to do that, right? So I believe in that system,
Yep.
and I honestly do believe that that's
All right, if
the way it should go.
all right, if they won't get rid of the salary cap, all right, obviously it's not going to happen anytime soon. At least lift the bloody thing up, man. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I think they are doing
if
it.
you
They
can
are,
aff-
yeah.
But you know what? Like you just said before, if you can afford it, you can afford it.
Yeah.
If you can't, go
Mate,
up
there's
to
always
limits like
exemptions.
Mariners.
There's always exemptions. Look at Sydney. Like, how do they get around it? Like, there's always loopholes and stuff
How
like
they
that.
get
Oh,
around it? Come
no,
on,
no.
come on, you got an
Let's be honest, but I don't think the league's in the position for any salary caps to be going up at the moment.
Yeah, but
That's not
Yeah.
true.
yeah, but hang
That's
on.
why
So
I-
that
that's
doesn't
why I
mean
say-
all right. Let's just say they lift it up to 5 mil. Doesn't mean every club has to. Just like our club.
Yeah.
we've got.
They'd have to max
caps
it.
now. But Ruth said, doesn't mean they got up to that limit.
Yeah.
It didn't reach up to the limit.
But a salary
what I mean?
cap, my other argument is a salary cap should even the competition out. Yet historically, we've seen a
Yeah.
20% or larger gap between first and last.
Yes.
So, why is
Yeah.
a marquee a difference? No, it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So there's always a large scale.
How's Melbourne City
difference,
fucking?
you know?
Always up there.
Way, right?
Yeah.
But you
The
tell me,
salary cap lane.
if the salary cap gets scrapped, all right, Melbourne City go drop 10
They
million.
are an organisation that's very well run. Also.
That's
They're-
right.
Oh, City Group, yeah.
They're
yeah.
by City Group. So they come in, they fund what they pump 10 million into the club. All of a sudden, he's going to go up to Ledger and say, "Well, I need a bit of funding here to compete." Oh, it's going to make every owner's job a bit harder, bro. You know what I mean? We're like you said, we're already fifth. Right? Yeah, if City Group.
Yeah, I know, but again, the other argument which I've heard is the Central Coast Mariners last year,
Yeah.
right? But it's like I said, it's very hard to replicate.
Yeah.
It's a different type of club. You know, they're very community based, and like I said, there was a coach there that lost 11 games in a row only a few years ago, and there wasn't an outpour or outcry, and the demands weren't as hard or harsh on him. You come to a bigger club like here, Victory or Sydney, for example.
You lose 10, you're out. Pretty
Oh, you
much.
lose
100%.
All right. Will he have enough time where he's at now? I won't mention the club just so we don't put him on blast. Obviously, you know, I'm talking about now. Since you mentioned him. Will he have that time at Perth? I'm the fuck. I just.
There you go.
All right. Will he have that enough time at Perth?
I don't know. Look,
Will they give him enough time like the Mariners?
He deserves it.
But there's nothing wrong with it.
He deserves it.
We can say here, Stadic, right? he went through a long period without success, right? And obviously there was no repercussions of those bad performances, and that's obviously reflective of obviously the demands of the club, right? You reckon he'll get what Banana's saying is that same treatment in Perth?
Look, I don't know. I can't speak for the Perth owners and the people that are there. Look, he's also a fellow colleague, and I don't want anyone to get sacked. That's just not because
Obviously, yeah.
I'm no different to them. I'd like to think, and I know everyone's different the way they think and how they feel, but you know, coaching's a real lonely job.
Yeah.
You know, people don't understand just how lonely it is. Even though you've got a support staff and people around you, you're on your own a lot. You internalise a lot. You think about a lot of things. You know, when you win, you get 50 messages. When you lose, 0. Like zero. It is so erratic and up and down. But when you lose especially, it is the loneliest job on earth. You're standing there, pitch side, with 10 minutes to go, and you might
Your
be
face
down
on
by
the
2 or 3.
Your face on camera on
And
the
on the
TV.
big screen.
On the
Oh, well,
big
you don't
screen.
think about that or focus on that. But it's lonely. It's almost like you've got 1,000 spotlights on you. Everyone
He's watching you.
They're just
looking
waiting
at
for you.
and hammering you, and you are the
Everyone's an
worst,
expert like
you know,
us.
and things like that. No, I'm just telling you, I'm no different to a lot of coaches out there, you know. But you need to be made of pretty stern stuff, and it's no different to coaches in other codes. You know, I've got so much respect. That's why I could never answer that for other coaches who lead organisations, mate, because I completely understand the job they're in, and I respect it greatly, and I don't want bad for anybody.
So after a loss, when you've got no messages and then you win, and then the messages start coming, do you tell them to fuck off?
Just leave him on scene.
Well, sorry,
Where were you last week?
Learn that one.
You prick.
It's funny. You get a lot of people coming out of from nowhere when you get a job, and then the derby comes along, and you get even more friends you haven't heard from in years. Hey, Roots, how you going?
Out of the woodworks.
Can I get some tickets? Whatever. Great to see you at the Wanderers, mate. You know, and I said, well, I signed like 3 months ago. I didn't hear from you then. But, so it's an interesting job. It comes with its perks. You know, I don't get any free coffees. Right? I get the occasional free haircut. Travel an hour away, or whatever. You know? There's a lot of good things that come with it. You know, like I said, the best thing for me is that when you're walking around and people know who you are and they say thanks, man. You know, like I remember that first derby game, and I was just driving, and one guy, you know, just pulled out of his car. He's a concreter, and he goes,
Missouri concrete?
I'm not here to promote. Right? And he goes, man, you know, I love what you did, man, and fucking keep going. And he brought us, you know, gave us something in return, and I think that's why you do it, huh?
Yeah.
That's special, man.
It's a love.
That used to happen in the heyday. Like for randomly, like
Yeah.
a player will be like driving, I don't know where, and then
You
someone
would see
would
him.
spot him out and they'd fucking jump.
Yeah.
But what we understand, and what I certainly understand, because I saw it in my own household and growing up, we were born with the game. You know, the game is everything to us. And when your team won, mate, that impacted everyone in
Your
the
whole
family,
mood,
my
mate.
cousins, your friends,
whole mood.
Yeah.
for a whole week.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's never been lost on me from a young kid, that you can impact someone, even if it's for a day or a week.
Oh, you impacted me, don't you worry. I got a fourth kid coming out. Well, thank you. You gave me a daughter. It's a win. It's a win. A positive. It's a negative into a positive.
But that's not lost on me. You know how you guys feel, the fans and people attached to the club. That's another reason why you do it. The purpose has to be bigger than yourself. It's got to be.
We head back to the pub after the game, and mate, the mood after a loss and the win is one.
different
we're going into a funeral, and we're going to head back to the pub, and the other one we're fucking partying till 4 a.m, bro. It's just
It's different.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to not look at that game when we beat Sydney over there for the first time.
mate.
You know, I went and had a
Kings
drink
of
with my
Sydney.
son and his mates, huh? And like,
so it should be.
yeah, so it should be.
Yeah.
But
Special.
I'm seeing my boy trying to pick up chicks and. Good on you. Man, that's my son. I was doing that when he was 8. But it was just a good time to be around,
Yeah.
and
it was the best.
You know, that's you don't lose it yourself.
I'll never
on
forget that
you know.
day,
You see
honestly,
the
yeah.
fans afterwards.
You have to rub the salt in, but it's
No,
the take.
that's where it was, eh? The chimmy.
Ask you, we went back to where did we go?
Parramatta.
Back to
Parramatta.
power. Oh
Yeah.
my god, what a
Mate,
night.
4 a.m.
I bought a $600 cigar. All right.
You missed probably what.
I said, banana, smoke this, and I want you to smoke it. I want you to act like you're the king of Sydney, bro.
Kings of Sydney, yeah.
You're the fucking
Oh, it was the best ever.
It was a good night.
And that's what we want to do more of that.
What a
you know.
night.
He went from have 1-2 drinks to
4 a.m. We're going to get
4 a.m.
home.
in the morning.
Anyway, he's a digging the hole even further now.
I'm alright.
it is
I
what it
dragged
is.
back the receipt home and left it in the kitchen. Mate, when the wife came beanstorming in the room over there, mate. You fucking normal, what is
All right.
Roots. Thanks a lot, man.
Thanks for
Thanks, man.
I've got another one.
Oh, Banana doesn't want to stop, bro.
I don't want to stop. We're going to roll here. Where he's going, bro? Relax.
I've got
bro.
training. I've got a game tomorrow, man.
You'll be alright. You'll be alright. It's only pre-season.
Then you just want to just suck Corey. Come on, just give him just fucking. Get
Is that your question?
I know they're mates, but
Is that your question, Banana?
someone new on the sideline, man.
No, look, I'll be honest.
What's the relationship? Yeah, between
Yeah,
It's a good love-hate relationship.
Yeah, define good friends, right? So I've got a lot of friends in the game. I'm not saying that in a bad way at all. I respect Bimby.
What level,
and,
but,
you
yeah.
know, like we played 3 years together. We won a championship together. We won trophies together, and all the rest of it. And a fantastic player. And he's also in the same seat as me. And you know, the pressure at that club is immense as well. You know, so for him to have gone through that and it's been big. We've texted each other and things like that. But you know, I've come here now, and that's gone. That's like
It's a rivalry, but that's how it should be.
You know?
That's how it should be.
Look,
I like it. You just bring it back to good old rivalry we had.
yeah. One thing you'll know is that after the game, and I will say, whether it was what I did was right or wrong, and probably more wrong than right. You know, I don't believe I should have done that, and I did apologise to him for that. Right, I didn't receive a reply. I did want to do it because he deserved an apology, and like I said, it was something that was said
Heat of the moment.
years earlier that he said something they said to me after a game, and I just wanted to remind him.
I remind you the same words,
of
yeah.
that. And I should have been better in knowing there were cameras everywhere and things like that. Maybe it was good entertainment for the people at home.
Was this the first game? The away
No,
game?
the one we lost at home.
We lost,
Oh,
yeah.
right.
When I approached him afterwards and
Yeah.
had a firm handshake with him.
That's great to see. That's a passion.
I will say, even though I'm here, you guys understand that, you know, I played for that football club. And,
Yeah.
You know, and I was, you know, quite well respected there and vice versa. And I had a really good relationship with everybody there. And I'm not going to diss them because I'm not about that, you know. And we've all got a journey, but I'm fully entrenched here, mate.
Yeah.
And, you know, if that means me, and I will say, every time I've gone there to watch a game, to analyse something like that, the people have been very nice to me. And so I must say that publicly. But like I said, it's not about that for me. I'm here and I want the best for this football club and its fans and its members and everything else. And whatever happens between me and Bimby, whether we continue on, whatever, it doesn't bother me because this is my club.
Well said.
And it's my job to do what I need to do for this football club.
It's
Well
good.
said.
It's good.
Well said.
I really like it. It's a
Good rivalry.
The little touchlines.
But we need that, right?
100%.
You know what? I know you guys probably bag me out here.
Here we go.
Was this going to be stupid?
Yeah.
It's not stupid, but
He's going to say he likes having Sydney.
someone used to do this before, and it used to make like attraction for the game because when it wasn't, we weren't at the best, obviously, but he still liked to bring attraction to the game. Graham Arnold, right? I don't know most people don't like him, but always when I was leading up to Derby, he always used to say something. He's very smart.
That used to piss us off, but yeah, but still, but yeah.
To get us to the game.
We were triggered. He used to trigger us.
Yeah, he triggered us. And we fucking jumped
Hence,
at it.
hence the few banners. That was,
But that's what makes him.
Mouthwash banner?
That's what makes him such a smart coach, right? He used to say the right things at the right time. All of a sudden, you got an extra 5K. You got an extra
He sells games.
5K, people in the gates.
And that's
smart.
And that's part of our job as well. I don't want to go into too much detail about what I do, but I think if you read between the lines, I think it's no different. I think, you know, putting the game first is also important.
Yeah.
And we're custodians, or we want to be part of it, and we all play a part in lifting this game. You know, let's be honest, our TV ratings aren't the best.
Yeah.
Right? Whatever we can do to create a bigger rivalry, and I think it's encompassed on me and on Bimby, particularly because the Sydney Derby. I don't care.
It's the biggest
I've always
game.
said it. It's the biggest derby.
100%.
It is in the league.
100%.
By far. Right?
Melbourne's one's good, but I don't.
No, this has more
I just
feeling.
Don't think it.
there's more to this.
There's hatred here, bro. There's hatred.
Geography divided.
Exactly,
Just,
all that sort of stuff. And if and you can see that before every derby, that you were using my comments about that.
Yeah.
But that is something that was strategic as well.
100%,
You know, and I think what I saw was they spoke in this when we beat them 4-0 a lot about us rather than, and we chose not to say anything.
Yeah.
So we knew we kind of had them where.
got in the heads.
Yeah, and I think that's also plays a part. Like whether you said it was only that did it or whatever.
It's a chess
in
game.
the end, they won the biggest battle because they beat us in the final, and you got to respect that.
One question is, since you bring up the 4-0 win, is this true or not true?
Oh, no.
Who are we going to go?
Yeah.
This is the last
no,
true or
no.
false question.
Is it true, leading up to the final with the Sydney FC, Smurfs, whatever you want to call them, that we had displayed all around like the Trent, like
Oh,
the
yeah.
office, the 4-0 win. Is that true?
No, not technically. You know what was true, however, what we have during the week are different things. So if I feel like we need confidence, I'll have this thing on repeat, right, about positive action. So what it was every player, no, not every player that played in that 4-0 win, was playing that game, or was going to play that game against in the final. I wanted to put him in a positive frame of mind. And so by having every player who was in the squad through the season, we did like a highlights reel of positive actions. That's
Okay.
Because we got the take. They played the 4-0 win. They
Like on repeat, like
when
with a
we,
bit.
once we heard that, we were like, right, who does that?
Yeah.
What's going on here? Why would you want to do
I'm
that?
big on-
the highlight reel, I understand that. That's probably just a display for someone when they walk in,
Yeah.
they can see what's going on, what the club's about.
Oh, fair
how
enough.
They play the players.
It was more a positive reinforcement of all the great things they've done through the year.
Right, so,
Makes it a positive
we can wipe that out.
can
So when
hash that
someone
out.
else
Yeah.
ever brings that on, we can say, no.
Just so quickly, we've got
There must be a million of those types.
Roots. We've got a lot of people that asked throughout the night. Hendricks. A lot of people are excited about him. What can you just quickly touch on him? How's he looking at training?
Yeah, first of all, unbelievable pedigree. Now, we've got a player at his peak at 28 who has won 3 championships in Holland, right? Who played over 250 games for not a small club, a big club, who then got sold to Spartak Moscow for big money, who unfortunately had to go through the war scenario, so it affected him somewhat. Played in the second division at Fortuna Düsseldorf last year. I've got a few contacts there, so I was able to find out a bit more about Jodit, and I think this guy,
It's him.
he's a player.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, I believe in all my players, but the best thing that I can kind of say, I don't want to put pressure on my players. I don't like doing that, right? Is when you see other players talk about when Jodit joined the team and started playing in tactical sessions and games and stuff like that, and you see their feedback, then you know
We've got a special one.
Yeah.
we've got something here. So, and it's not just him, like I said, it's a sum of all parts. But certainly when I was looking for that right balance in midfield, you got Joshy who keeps things, he's best at keeping things simple, plugging holes, such a beautiful football brain, will work so hard. And then you've got this guy who can complement him with his technical ability. You know, Joric sees things that other players can't see. You know, he reminds me of, you know, a footballer that I adored growing up, Žarko Ođakov, right? Who played for Sydney, Croatia, who had eyes in the back of his head and the side of his head, who then could execute things. This is this guy, you know, but I will say, give him a bit of time. He's only just joined the team.
Yep.
Hasn't played a lot of games, so he's trying to get his match minutes in the season now. But I think as he gets better...
5-6 rounds.
Yeah.
Rudes, do you think we're ready for round 1?
We're ready to win. Yeah, we're ready to win. I'm not going to say anything untowards because my expectations is for us to go and get put a maybe not the best performance, but we certainly know what's on the line. And I've got a team who, and I love how people look at pre-season results and make assumptions and everything else. I always think that's hilarious because every coach does things differently for different reasons, right?
Trial period.
But we are prepared for 3 points next Sunday, and that's our expectation. And
exciting.
Perfect.
you know, I don't want to I'm not putting the opposition down because we respect them greatly, and there's no dramas there with the Phoenix.
Oh, they're
That's
probably
a
saying the
club
same
that
thing.
I was given my first opportunity. I respect them a lot, you know, especially Rob Morrison and people there.
Yep.
But our expectation at home at 3 o'clock, which we are embracing and we can't wait to play at 3 o'clock, is to win.
It's a great time for 3 o'clock.
I love that.
Let's not go into
All right.
All right.
Just before we end it, I just want to say, get to the women's derby this Saturday, 7:45.
Derby this Saturday.
Tickets are on Ticket Tech, or if you're a member, you can add on an $80 women's membership. But they're expecting a big crowd for the whole season. It's like $15 a ticket for this game.
But they're
So-
expecting 20,000 people.
I'm
bro.
going.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
going.
yeah. The RBB's gone, the Cove's gone. They're expecting like nearly 20,000 for it. So if you haven't got a ticket, go. It's going to be a cracker of a game. Yeah, I don't know. I'm
They
exaggerating a
deserve
bit.
it. The
but yeah.
girls have, you know,
Especially
won
after the World Cup as
you
well,
know,
yeah.
and we should get behind them, and they're fantastic footballers.
Just quickly, one more. Just before we go, Thank you, bro. I had someone message me today, and they're like, I don't know how much you can make a pool out of it, or whatever you can do. At least say something. You sent me a photo today, and he goes, right, bang in front of my doorstep. He goes, I can just see a poster of like Sydney FC and Melbourne game, like the promoting. He goes, I don't see that. He goes, this should be our poster. Should be there. Like,
What suburb?
I'm not saying. I don't want
Okay.
to clear him out because
Yeah.
But
We should do more, obviously.
should do more.
Yeah, there's always room for
I
improvement.
actually like that. Well, that's
100%.
Why can't
They do it well,
Why don't
yeah.
we do it? Is there someone? Is there someone you can say or say something to? Or
You were saying it now.
yeah, there you go.
If only we knew someone in the
I want
club.
to say, but thanks again for.
He's out. Wife just messaged him. He's out.
Also, no, my phone's in the house. And thanks for the blue label.
Come out. Oh, this one's not getting open. This one's getting open when the silverware comes. You know.
Yeah.
Johnny's not walking anywhere, right?
Oh, this one's gonna be. He's all right.
That's the one.
Look at that.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudan.
No, thank you.
Pleasure to have you on. Always welcome, brother.
Thank you, mate.
Cheers, Rich.
Much love, like, subscribe. You know the drill.
Thank you,
Round
everyone.
one.
It was round
you
2
there.
here, but we got through it. We got through it.
We got through it.
Roots, grand final win. Let's talk.
Let's do it, mate.
Now, first place. Don't make it fun. Get first. First. We're out.
You guys happy with that?
Excellent.
Mate, over
I
the
reckon we should go again.